Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are on this fast forward planet, which has just spun into a new year by the human calendar. My friend John Karen recently posted on Facebook that there's like 20 different New Year's festivals, depending on what your culture and society is on this planet. So this is just one in China, the one that kicked off that helped spread the pandemic a year ago is coming in February. I'm Andy Revkin here at the Earth Institute Annex in my home in the Hudson Valley, New York, with a couple of friends from the Hudson Valley, David Ross and Cowboy Ernie Seitz, and Patrick Jones is there in that room with him. They're both in Beacon. And then with Ray Pierre Humbert, who is over in Oxford, England, a great climatologist and a really great accordion player and a soul who's come on this show many times. And there's also Peter Rafel, who's in the DC area. He works at Georgetown University. He's in somewhere in Virginia, I think. But so good morning to you all. Ray, technically you're going to come on in about a half hour. So if you don't mind, I'm going to, I think you're on at the 11 o'clock hour.
Actually, do you need me to log out so that other people can get?
I can tuck you back into the green room and you can enjoy that nice
Okay.
coffee that we have there and
Yep.
nibble on the donuts. But
Yeah.
great to have you here.
Sure.
And
Yep.
Karen Brooks is coming on later. We try to keep the show as variegated as possible. Unfortunately, we have a big dose of male voices this morning, which is fine. You know, we're half the species. So, but women are coming later. Great to have you all here for the Sunday Sanity version of my Sustain What show. Happy 2021, everybody. And please share this with others out there in the world. We're going to go live for a couple hours here with some wonderful talent. I wanted to hold on. Wanted to show you something that happened on New Year's Eve that really blew my mind. So hold on one second while I do that too. Maybe I'll do it later just to save a beat. I don't want to waste time. There was this incredible conclave of folk musicians through the DC Folklore Society. I don't know, Peter, if you know about them. They had a Zoom New Year's Eve that was just mind-boggling. People from all over the North America and Europe, at least, trading songs. And there was one incredible song about the transition from horses to mechanized agriculture that I might try to squeeze into the mix later. It was just totally stunning. Patrick and Ernie, if you guys are set up, I wouldn't mind starting with a little dose of Western sound. You can unmute and everyone can say hi here briefly first. David Ross, how are you doing?
I'm doing real well. Here we are in the beginning of a new year. So yeah, things to think about. There's going to be quite a week here in the.
Oh yes, quite a week. Yeah. We have the vote in Georgia, and we have the ridiculousness in Congress. So yeah, quite a week indeed. But it should end, as far as we can tell, with transition to a new administration and a new Congress, which is for all of what it will be. We'll have to work with that. So Ernie Seitz, you know, you're like Idaho born, or where are you from?
My home is Idaho. Yes, sir. Yep, born there in southern Idaho.
And so how did you end up in the Hudson Valley?
Well, it's
long story.
Well, yeah, my wife Barbara is she's a professional pianist for ballet in New York City, and plays for Alvin Ailey and the New York Ballet and School of Arts and Education there as well in the high school. Anyway, she's been doing this forever, and I was entertaining at Queens College doing a show that was called Native American Indians and Cowboys 2, a show that I co-wrote with a guy by the name of Jim Keys, or Dan Keys, excuse me, not Jim Keys, but Dan Keys. And I was entertaining there, and Barbara was on campus one day and saw me walking from the commissary back to the backstage. She just said, "Are you taking Cowboy 101?" Which was a very appropriate thing to say.
Cowboy 101.
Yeah. And I turned around, and then that's where we started, right there. Yeah, 27 years ago.
Wow.
And so I became a transit from Idaho to New York on a pretty regular basis there. So, and
that's so fantastic.
Now we're residing in Brewster presently. New York.
That's great. So
Yeah.
maybe you got a tune in mind this morning. You with Patrick Stanfield Jones there behind you.
Yeah,
Hey, happy New Year, Patrick.
Happy New Year to you too, Andy.
Yeah.
Oh, great to see everybody.
Well, this is a kind of the beginning of a new year for all of us, and but this is a song. It's a reminiscent song of growing up in southern Idaho, and about how sometimes when your plans change in your life a little bit, take you different places. Like I never would believe I'd be standing here next to Pat and Pekin, New York, singing songs and talking to you, Andy. I just never would think that ever had happened. But so I hope you enjoy this thing. It's called The Coyotes Howl. I grew up with the coyotes howl on the hills around my home, where the tumbleweeds roll on and on, just like the days of yore. You know what? It'd be good right there. Excuse me, Andy. I hate start and stop.
That's okay.
I'm gonna do that because I actually started on the second verse. You wouldn't think you get nervous doing stuff like this. We're just standing here.
5,000 performers.
Try again.
Okay.
That's all good.
What's that, Ann?
It's all good.
Okay. I grew up with the coyotes howl on the hills around my home, where the sagebrush grows, the rabbits run, gold eagles do fly free, and the wind could blow right through your soul. Lord, where does it come from? I was free and wild as a child, out where the coyotes run, out where the coyotes run. Never left this happy land, the place where I was born, where the tumbleweeds roll on and on, just like the days of yore. For 50 years and countless tears, all dried up by the sun. Things have changed, they're not the same, out where the coyotes run, out where the coyotes run. Or have I changed and rearranged my dreams long ago? Like the rising of the morning mist, how quickly time can go. And the desert plain seems smaller now, and the sagebrush not that tall. And I miss the days of my youth, out where the coyotes call, out where the coyotes call. Or have I changed and rearranged my dreams long ago? Like the rising of the morning mist, how quickly time can go. And the desert plain seems smaller now, sagebrush not that tall. I miss the days of my youth, out where the coyotes call, where the coyotes call. Time has brought me age, added by the years, and the years have slowed me down. Winter time is near, like the thawing of a frozen stream. When springtime finally comes, life is new and the grass is green, out where the coyotes run, the coyotes run. I grew up with the coyotes howl on the hills around my home, where the sagebrush grows and the rabbits run, gold eagles do fly free, and the wind could blow right through your soul. Lord, where does it come from? I was free and wild as a child, out where the coyotes run, out where the coyotes run. Thank you. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Love it. Love it. We need a coyote howl right now.
That's how
That
they
was pretty
sound.
damn good.
Yeah.
They come around our house every once in a while. When we first moved into where we are now in the village of Nelsonville, we used to live in the woods in Garrison here in the Hudson Valley. And the first night we were here, the coyotes were howling, and they didn't howl again until this year, like just now this summer, I think, because people are like retreated and animals are advancing. We'll find out more about animal stories in a little bit later this morning from Carl Safina and David Rothenberg are going to come on here and talk about a story they had in the New York Times about animal antics.
Well, when I was a kid, my grandfather was well, I mean, of course, this is controversial to a lot of people, but he was a government trapper back in the days, back in the 60s and so forth. And he caught some coyote pups and brought them around his trapping house, which was up in Stanley Basin. And every night he'd play the harmonica to these pups. They got to be pets, you know. And he'd play Red River Valley, and their old ears would perk up. They'd look at him, and they'd howl. And he'd play a harmonica because dogs do that and critters do that. Well, finally, this end of the season came, and he kicked them out, you know, and left them on their own. When he came back the next year, he could hear coyotes howling out on the ridge. And as he listened very close, they were all howling Red River Valley. That was the song they were doing. Yeah, it was pretty amazing. Yeah.
And I got a story for you.
That's great.
So, David Ross, what's on your musical mind this morning?
Well, you know, like I said, this is going to be quite a week. But I was also thinking about what we lost this year, and so I thought I would sing a John Prine song that kind of talked a little bit about this week. It's called Long Monday. You and me, sitting in the back of my memory, like a honeybee, buzzing around a glass of sweet Chablis. Well, radio's on, windows rolled up and my mind's rolled down. Headlights shining like silver moons, floating on the ground. Well, we made love every way love can be made. And we made time look like time could never fade. Friday night, we both made our guitars hum. Saturday made Sunday feel like it would never come. It's gonna be a long Monday, sitting all alone on a mountain by the river that has no end. It's gonna be a long Monday, stuck like the tick of a clock that's come unwound again. Well, soul to soul, heart to heart, and cheek to cheek. Come on, baby, give me a kiss that'll last all week. The thought of you leaving again, well, it brings me down. The promise of your sweet love brings me around. It's gonna be a long Monday, sitting all alone on a mountain by a river that has no end. It's gonna be a long Monday, stuck like the tick of a clock that's come unwound again. It's gonna be a long Monday. Sitting all alone on a mountain by a river that has no end. It's gonna be a long Monday. Stuck like the tick of a clock that's come unwound again.
It's going to be a long week for sure.
Indeed, indeed.
Monday, just the start. It's insane. Hold on to your hats and get engaged with politics as much as you can. Get engaged with your community as much as you can. So much of what's going to determine the fate of this pandemic is at the community scale.
Monday, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Peter Rafel, how you doing? And Happy New Year to you. We're also you focus on changing climate in your day job this morning, and today we're focusing on the musical sides of our lives and what you got on tap.
Well, I can you hear me okay, first of all?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Santa brought me a fancy new mixing board, and this is the first time trying it out with you. I've been thinking about how we need a little bit of hope in the world this year, and trying to have a positive outlook. And so I whipped up this one, learned a new song here. You've heard it before. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white. The bright blessed day, the deep sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also in the faces of people walking by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
It's such a sweet song. An undergraduate at Columbia played it on here just before New Year's on a ukulele. And
I must have missed that one.
Yeah. No, but no, believe me, no, what I was about to say was he can't get enough of it. It's a great tune. Great tune. So good to hear from you too. I want to circle back to Ernie, who has been on this show. He's tried to get on this show a couple of times, and the technology has always gotten in the way, but he's now with some help from Patrick Jones. We've got a good dose of Ernie Sites, and erniesites.com is his website. I'm going to link that on there too, because he really is a singing cowboy. And even though he's now living in the Hudson Valley, and his work is fantastic, and Patrick's as well. Can you guys unmute?
All right, now we're back on.
There we go.
Yeah, we let a bull loose in here just a second, and then everything started falling on the floor. So,
Bull in the china shop over here.
Well, thank you. I grew up. I just got inducted by. I always like to say something to the Cowboy Rodeo Hall of Fame in Idaho this year. Well, actually, it was last year.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, that was really a wonderful surprise, and I told him about the only real impression I ever made, a deep impression I ever made in the rodeo industry was where my head kept hitting the ground from bull rides and stuff. So, but that was actually a joke. I don't know. So anyway, uh, well, all right. We guess we're going to do another song, Andy.
That would be awesome.
All right. This is a tune that I was asked to entertain in Gooding, Idaho for their 100-year centennial a few years back. And so I was asked to I was the keynote speaker. I was the entertainment for the night. It was really neat. They had a nice little homegrown museum there, and a lot of people came. It was really a wonderful experience. I was quite honored to be asked to participate. So I did a little research to come up with a song that I thought would be appropriate to sing besides just covers. And so I ended up writing this song called Hard Times. And I kind of looked backwards in time to see what it was like in 100 years earlier. And people were living in tar paper shacks and burning sagebrush to keep warm, and having a hard time trying to make a living out of that old hardpan desert country down there. And after looking at the pictures and barefoot kids and bib overall dudes, I realized I grew up the same way. But we never felt like it was hard time, I guess, only on reflection. So I hope you enjoyed this tune called Hard Time. Hard time don't come around no more, no more. Hard time don't come around my door. Hard time don't come around no more, no more hard times. Don't you come knocking at my door. Things are tough and times are rough. Money never seems enough. The wind and rain, the salt and dust, rusting up my pickup truck. When it blows, sure gets cold. Doors just let in the snow. Windows are single pane. When it pours, it really rains. Hard time don't come around no more, no more. Hard time don't come around my door. Hard time don't come around no more, no more hard times. Don't you come knocking at my door. It'll rain on these desert plains, but it's just a crying shame. Dust hardpan is dead and gone. Tumbleweeds roll on and on. Then damn the weather when it's hot. All the water, it dries up. Withering crops, they fade away. We'll just hang our heads and say, hard time don't come around no more, no more. Hard time don't come around my door. Hard time don't come around no more, no more. Hard time don't you come knocking at my door. We got along on the shack, working till we break our back, and then the wind it blows and blows and blows, blows and blows and blows. Each night when we go to sleep, pray to God, soul to keep, dream of better days when we won't hang our heads and say, our time don't come around no more, no more. Our time don't come around my door. Our time don't come around no more, no more times. Don't you come knocking at my door. Our time don't come around no more, no more. Our time don't come around my door. Our time don't come around no more, no more. Hard times, don't you come knocking at my door. Hard times don't come around no more.
Yes, sir.
It's a fantastic song.
Thank you, Andy.
Yeah.
Love it.
And thank you, Pat Jones here for helping me get live on your show today. Thank you, and thank you, Pat. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Are you able to hang around a little or come back later, or you?
You know what? I'm basically all dressed up and no place to go, and this is the first time I've seen Pat in a bazillion years. It feels like, and so the answer to that question is I'm not in a big hurry to go anywhere right now.
Okay,
So,
that's
yes.
cool because I'd love it if you could come on a little later and do another one. And Karen Brooks is coming on. If you can come on later and do another one, that'd be awesome because that's exactly what the world needs right now. And what's really cool about these shows is they cut through all the ideological splits we have among us around the world. Music, experiencing hard times, the culture of the West, culture of the East. We can find common ground through music way easier than through tweets and the like. And I think it's very valuable stuff.
I agree with that. Yeah. Folks get kind of, when I grew up and thinking New York, I mean, the only thing I could ever imagine of New York was Manhattan. That was the only thing you ever saw, or ever heard about, was that part of the world. So I just assumed that New York was like Manhattan. And everybody thinks that cowboys out in Idaho are all rednecks, and we're definitely not that way at all. There's a lot of very good cultural difference, but I love this world out here. This is a beautiful world. New York's a beautiful state. I'll never badmouth New York. Never again. No, never again.
No, there's places upstate, the Black Dirt Country, and further up in Mohawk Valley, where if you just woke up there and didn't know where you were on the planet, you could just as easily be out much farther west, or it's a very different place further north you go.
In fact, I woke up there one time, didn't know how I got there, but there it was.
Right there you go. And you said, "What the hell?" Wow, and it's snowing. It's snowing quite a bit here now in the Hudson Valley. I wish
it is. Yeah, I know.
Beautiful out there. Okay, so
thank you.
Yeah, we'll grab a cup of soup and let's check out the rest of the show, and we'll be sitting around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. See you again soon. And Peter Rafel, same thing. There are a lot of people coming on to this morning. We'd normally have more time to hang and sing, but it's great to have you on again.
Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm happy to jump off and tune in on radio.
I like that. I'd like it to be on the radio, but I guess we'll have to figure that out someday. I'll talk to WFUV. And David Ross, you how are you doing? Do you have maybe a quick tune to slip in?
Yeah, sure. Just
we're right at the turn of the hour.
I would just leave us with a little Graham Parsons tune. In South Carolina, there are many tall pines, and I remember the oak tree that we used to climb. But now when I'm lonesome, I always pretend that I'm getting the feel of hickory wind. Well, I've started out younger at most everything. All the riches and pleasure. What else could life bring? It makes me feel better each time it begins, calling me home, hickory wind. Well, it it's a hard way to find out that troubles are real in a faraway city with a faraway feel. But it makes me feel better each time it begins, calling me home. Hickory wind keeps calling me home. Hickory wind.
Thank you, David. That was a beautiful tune. And again, I'm always bummed when I hear these songs that we were playing in our
These
band.
are our songs, Andy. We've got to get this band back together soon. We've got to find a way to do it.
We do.
21. Let's do it as soon as we can.
And you and Patrick, you guys played at the town crier recently, right?
Yeah, Pat and I played last Sunday at Town Crier in their front room. It was all properly masked and distanced, and we had a good time.
So there is a dawn coming. If we all
great. Well, it's always great to play with Pat, as anybody who's ever played with Mr. Jones knows. It's always a treat.
All right. Well, good luck to you through the day, and great to see you. Good luck to you good luck to us all through this year.
All of us this week, yeah.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Take care. Be well. And we've got some new guests coming on. So Carl Safina, my old friend from out on Lazy Point. How are you doing?
Doing great.
Fantastic to see you here. I'll explain why you're here in a minute. Carl, for those who don't know him, is a great writer, a great conservation biologist, marine policy expert from way back. Just search for Safina Center, and you'll find out more about his work. And his books have become richer and richer through the years. They started out great, following albatrosses and turtles around the world, and now he's dug in on animal behavior in ways that are fresh. Just got yourself onto some lists of 10 best books and the like for this year.
Yes, that was very, very vindicating, because it was April was a very bad time to have a nonfiction book get published, and nobody was paying attention. But then it was sort of a raise the Titanic year for that book, and it ended the year with a very strong finish. A lot of good notice. So that was
Can you summarize briefly what it's about for folks? I'm going to show
very, very briefly. It's about culture. It's about mostly culture in non-humans, but by asking why does culture exist in the living world, I grew to learn some things about culture that would never have occurred to me to ask. And it helped me to understand why it is that some of our most difficult things in human societies that are deeply culturally rooted are so difficult to overcome. So, but mostly the book is about other animals: sperm whales, chimpanzees, macaws, and their cultures, why they have cultures, what culture means in their societies. So.
And you just co-wrote something with David Rothenberg, my good friend who lives about 5 houses in that direction here in the village of Cold Spring, Nelsonville, and who's also a student of animal behavior and creativity and music and stuff. And I'm going to show this. Here we go. This is a pretty clever layout too. For the New York Times opinion section used to be pretty straightforward place. You know, you'd publish your 800-word op-ed and people would read it and write a letter to the editor. That would be about it. And now you've done you did this kind of summary of animal wonders through this year that people might have missed. And how did this come about?
Well, actually, this was entirely David's idea, and I'm not sure why he's not on with us yet, but I just texted him.
I'm trying to reach him with the thing too.
Anyway, it was his idea to say, you know, why don't we just highlight some of the wackiest, weirder, and more meaningful, strange kinds of unusual animal things that came our way in 2020. So the final list had 8 different animals or animal encounters, like this moose that seemed to be standing guard over a 71-year-old woman who had gone missing and was trapped in a ditch until people approached. And you know, this is in a way maybe the most interactive with humans on the list, but there are other just simply strange new discoveries. A newly discovered species of whale that's been obviously swimming in the ocean for tens of millions of years. People never knew it existed. An owl that flew into an open helicopter that was fighting a wildfire in California.
Amazing.
A new study showing that certain moths have scales on their wings that absorb sound almost entirely and therefore cloak the moths from the sonar signals of bats. So it's just
like spy versus spy, and
yeah. So a real mix of odd and weird and wonderful animal things that I think remind us that we're not alone on this planet, and that there's a lot of wonder to be had, and there's a lot more to the relationships with other life forms that we have not yet tapped into.
That interspecies care thing is interesting. I'm sure anyone who's scrolled Instagram or Facebook, you've seen these examples of. There was just a picture recently of all kinds of livestock all hanging out together, and there's been many instances of lions and other animals kind of convening in ways that we would find surprising. To you, I think it's probably not that surprising.
Well, the weird thing is it continues to surprise me, and I keep telling myself and other people that this is the way animals are. It's not a new thing with them. It's just that we are so out of touch. And I think increasingly, my friend, the author Paul Greenberg, has this phrase he mentioned once, but it really popped out at me: our tidal retreat from the world. And I think that rather than getting closer to nature, we do seem to be retreating farther and farther. But there are these incredible wonders and these magnificent capacities that other creatures have for friendship and compassion and just a desire generally to be gentle and light on the world. We could find, I think, a lot of comfort there and learn a lot as well.
I want to pull up something for that Ray Pierre Humbert, the climatologist who's here with us. Good morning, good afternoon, actually. And is that an anemometer I just noticed on your window? What is that?
He's muted, Andy.
Yeah, Ray, I think you're muted. Ray, you're muted. Ray.
Yeah. It's an antique anemometer, pre digital. It has a little counter in the base. They used to have to go out and then time it and read how many clicks it did.
Oh, interesting. So cumulative over a period of a minute or two, you'd count the clicks.
You could also run it backwards. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So how are you doing? I wanted to show you your website. You've been a practitioner of various genres of folk music through the accordion and other instruments for a long time, along with your great work in understanding the climates of all planets, not just ours.
Yeah. So actually, I've got a bunch of websites. Which one were you thinking of? Yeah.
Right here, I'll just show you
that's just the link into the YouTube. Although the YouTube, if you click on the YouTube channel, I'm starting to put up some links to my lectures as well.
Great. But the one-stop shopping link is this one.
Yeah.
Revant. I'll put it in
Reventuli. Reventuli is that's Finnish for Northern Lights. So.
I'll put that in the here so people can click to it afterwards. So do you have a song in mind this morning?
Yeah, sure. Yes.
David Rothenberg was going to come on with Carl and maybe do something musical, but he might be delayed or stuck out in the snow or We'll find out.
I'm going to send him an email now and see.
Yeah, I sent him the link, and by the way, you guys can always come back on. This is this is a weekly adventure. So let me just pull this out. Here we go.
Yeah.
So, Ray, what's on your accordionic mind?
Yeah, so I'm thinking Scottish today, but actually, right around New Year's Eve, you mentioned this wonderful performance at this on of the song about the last furrow plowed on the way home, the last journey home by a Clydesdale that was being retired, or at least I hope retired from and not knackered. That's a lovely song. It just reminded me of another one that I had learned up in Shetland. That it's called the Furrow's End. It's written by a Scottish accordionist, Gordon Patullo, in honor of his friend Dave Ford, who was a great plowman of various sorts. So.
Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, and
I
there's
was
so
just
many
showing
things.
some images that could from there's that someone had posted the Davy Steele song,
Yeah,
the last trip home, with some images of Clydesdales at work. Um, and I was showing those.
there's so much about coming to the end of a furrow. I mean, I've never out myself, but there's a feeling of we all want to get to the end of our furrow before it's time, and that's so hard.
Yeah, and I guess you can't rush. You can't rush things in this life. And then to me, the other resonance here is these grand transitions, energy transitions, and transitions in our relationships to animals. We all lived with livestock, not we who are here now, but for hundreds and hundreds of years. When I've gone, you go to the Amazon, you go to rural Africa, and our relationships with animals are implicit. And here in modern life, they're largely digital, which is partially one of the. When I was at National Geographic Society, they have 130 million Instagram followers, and everyone's clicking on pictures of either beautiful elephants or slaughtered elephants. And I keep wondering, do we know what that's? Is either one of those more engaging? Is either one of those more apt to make us conserve elephants? So that's one of my jobs at the Earth Institute, is to figure out how to use imagery. We know it's clickable. We know it somehow intrigues us, but what do we do with that is the next question. Carl, I think your books get at that quite a bit.
Well, I try with images. I think that part of the trick is, I think it takes a balance of beauty and horror if people need to be moved against horrible things, and there are horrible things in the world, obviously. But the trick in image making is to make images of ugly, horrible things that you cannot take your eyes off of. It's easy to make images of those things that are simply repulsive, and nobody can stand to look at them. But the best people find ways of making images that are, just magnetic. Like you just have to stare, and that's the trick with that side of it, I think. You were saying you go to places like Africa, and our relationships with animals are implicit. Actually, I think they're explicit in those places, or very rural communities where you see the domestic animals. But many of us have relationships with animals that we never see at all. We only see pieces of them in the freezer section of the supermarket, and those animals have had experiences that I think we should consider.
I just muted myself. Yeah, no, I think I was just talking with one of my sons yesterday about that. What can we do with technology to make those, to have more transparency, more capacity when you buy something in the market, you're considering it. Where did it come from? How was it raised? How was it slaughtered or processed? And how much carbon did it generate to get to me? And the data are there quite often, and certainly you can have that clickability. You also have to be motivated to learn more too.
Yeah. Oddly enough, for a long time, we had a relationship with Whole Foods on their seafood counter, and the wild caught fish that they sell had to go through a series of checks and evaluations that we provided the criteria for, about were they sustainably caught from well-managed populations? Did the fishing method have a lot of bycatch and associated killing? Did the fishing methods harm the habitat? But for farmed animals, there's just basically nothing like that displayed for the most part, except really totally voluntarily, like free range, which has a squishy definition to it,
right?
Yeah, well, in fact, one of our studies at Oxford. I mostly work on exoplanets, but I spend some time on Earth still. So we have a project on impacts of livestock for doing exactly those sort of things. But when we analyzed the U.S. so-called free range or pastured beef. It turned out that it has higher climate impacts than lots of intensively raised beef, because in fact it's not really free range. A lot of things you can sell as pastured spend a lot of time on feedlots. There's fertilizer that's put on their pastures and all those sort of things. But the other thing, it's really hard to draw the boundaries. Agriculture is so interlinked. So we're trying to figure out, just what are the climate impacts of cheese. But you can't actually make cheese without having, animal as a byproduct.
Right.
Boy cows or they're made as a as a byproduct, and so figuring out where to draw those linkages, it's really tough.
And organic farming, if you're not counting where did the manure come from,
Yep,
that you're putting on your organic crops, and what was the
Yep.
acreage and the impact of that, then you're really missing things too. So there's a lot of work to be done there, and how to create a full picture of the impacts, both ethical and environmental, of the things that we do, not to mention human labor, let alone what happens to animals. We'll keep focused on music here. I might throw in very quickly maybe a part of a song I did. Carl and I are both fishing people, fishers, and it was my relationship with fish that was a large part of my relationship more widely with nature, my love of nature. And I remember the first time I brought home some flounder and that I'd caught down at the little harbor in Rhode Island where I was growing up. And my mom said, one, they were in the sink getting ready to clean. And my mom was going to clean them. And one of them, one of the pectoral fins was still waggling after she was starting to decapitate the supposedly dead fish. Things were still moving. And she said, from now on, you clean your own fish. And I was very young at that time. And so that was part of my understanding of the ethical implications of this too. But this song is called My 6-Pound Big Mouth Bass. I don't know. Can you hear the banjo okay? And you hear my voice okay? It was a hazy day in August. Well, I was 12 years old. Rode my bike to Little Pond. Well, there somehow I like to be on my own. It was the best place to be gone. Had my fishing rod over the handlebars, tackle box on the rack in the back. Brought along an old plastic bag just in case I had some luck. I had some luck. It was a little patch of paradise surrounded by suburban sprawl. But where I hid down under those willow trees was like being in Panama. Wouldn't you know this was to be my day, a day for the history books. From the bottom of that pond, the world's biggest bass shot straight for my treble hook, my treble hook. That fish must have been mighty hungry. He did not hesitate. Snagged my rebel popper, which looked nothing at all like bait. We fought to the death. It seemed like days. I alone lived to tell the tale. That fish draped over my skinny hands like a towel drying on a rail. Towel on a rail. Now he's stuffed with plaster, fins all frayed, covered with dust, got eyes of glass. But for a bucket of gold I would not trade that 6-pound trophy big mouth, that big mouth bass. It goes on, but I'll just keep it there. So that was partially my relationship with nature came from, and it was probably a female because it was big. But that was a song I did about those
And
days.
we've caught a couple of nice fish on my boat when you've been out with me.
We sure did, and we let go of those big fat females, boffs.
Yeah,
I love that term, which I learned from our mutual friend Jane Lubchenko. The big old fat female fish.
yes.
Let them go. There's other people coming on here, and I wanted to bring in here for a good morning. Rik Palieri is going to be joining us in a few minutes. Rik is a much better banjo player than I'll ever be, and a great folky, great presence here. Great to see you again. How you doing?
It's great to be here. I've been following your conversation, and I thought that one of the things that I could add to it was playing the Native American woodpecker flute and talking a little bit about that. So when you're ready, I'll do that.
I will, and actually, that's great timing because I did see David Rothenberg has come on here as well, who is a renowned player of things that you blow in, and he had co-written this piece that was in the Times with Carl Safina on animal antics this past year, strange and wonderful things from the non-human animal world, and so maybe we'll have a little brief discussion and maybe some interplay with fluty things. So, Rik, what were you thinking there about your?
Well, this flute here, as you can see, has a woodpecker on the end of it. And this is a Native American flute that I learned how to play the flute from a gentleman named Kevin Locke in Mobridge, South Dakota. Kevin's a wonderful flute player and hoop dancer. And he was telling me a little bit of the creation story about the flute. And I thought that I would share that with your listeners if you'd like.
I would love it.
He said, long ago, there was a young Native American boy who was in love with a girl. But, he was very shy and he never really had the words to tell her what he felt in his heart. So she didn't know. And she just ignored him. Well, he was so sad that he started walking. He was walking through the forest. And there came a big bull elk, came through the forest. And the elk started leading him deeper into the woods than he had ever been before. And finally, the elk led him to an old cedar tree. Now, this cedar tree was so old that its branches were hollow. And as the boy stood there, a magical thing took place. A big red-headed woodpecker flew over and perched on one of the branches, and with its sharp beak, he started making some holes into the branch. And then as he flew away, the branch broke off and it started sailing down through the sky, and a gust of wind rushed through it, and it made a tone like, well, the boy picked up the stick and he brought it back to the tribe, went to the old medicine man to ask him what it meant. The wise man said, "This is a gift from our great spirit and should be used in our love or courting traditions." He handed the boy the stick. He told him to blow into it, so he did. When he stopped, he noticed that everyone had stopped working and they all had gathered round him. And even that young girl that he was so fond of, she was right beside him and she had a big smile on her face. And he did too. But all the other boys, they weren't smiling. They said, "Where'd you get that magic love flute from?" So he told them about the big bull elk and about the woodpecker and about the old tree. And soon all the boys went over and they too broke off a branch and started making love flutes of their own. And from that time on, whenever a young Native American boy fell in love, he had to make up a song for the woman that he loved. And if she liked the song, that meant that she liked him. But if she didn't like the song, he'd have to start composing for another girl. So here's a little idea of what the flute sounds like. Now you notice I was playing the Wayfaring Stranger. And the reason that I did that is a lot of the songs, the traditional songs, they're not meant to be played by people other than the people that they were intended for. So one of the things that Kevin was really really wanted me to understand was the best thing for me to do is to create my own melodies based on the tradition and not try to appropriate the old songs. And that's what I try to do, is create new songs on this old instrument. But I love to tell the story because it's such a fascinating story about how the animals have magic power and can teach us things.
That's true. And David Rothenberg here has been in that intersection of animal music and human music for I don't know, decades. Wide Birds Sing is his Twitter handle. And how are you, David?
Good. Thanks for playing that flute, Rick. I've never seen
a beautiful instrument too.
I've never seen a woodpecker flute before.
Yeah. Very cool.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm just going to say bye now because I know there are a lot of other people waiting to
Ray,
come in. It was,
always great to have you on here.
It's always a pleasure. But I'll be listening to the rest of you on YouTube. Love to hear more of that flute.
Great. Thanks again for being here from jolly old England.
Yep. Bye.
Take care. And before we go on, I want to bring in Dan Ramey from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Hey, Dan. Happy New Year.
Hi, Indy. Hi, everybody. Happy New Year.
Great to have you here again. And I hope you intersected perhaps with Reggie Harris, who was passing through Ann Arbor this past week, one of our other frequent visitors. But if not, he'll be back here too.
Yeah, we had talked about it actually last time we were both on this show, but we weren't able to connect, unfortunately. Hopefully next time. Okay.
So Carl and David Rothenberg had a piece in the Times that's in the Times today, actually, in the printed version and on the website on various animal superlatives, wacky moments.
It was years of work, just coming up with this list. Like
it was a clever
to the most important animal stories of the year.
The moose standing guard over the person. I like that one.
The moose rose up in the process. The moose was further down on the list. More people read the story, and the moose was his ratings improved. One of the lesser known stories of these animal stories because it came from the Estonian news.
But I really sorry. It was from Estonia.
Yes, it's an Estonian moose. This moose, the rescue moose. You don't often hear of moose rescuing people because they're not so interested in us, I guess. Usually, but this particular moose was like standing. And this nature photographers were out early. Oh, there's a moose over there. And the moose is like standing there and he's not moving. Like, let's get closer to the moose. The moose isn't moving. And then finally they get close. The moose runs away. But there next to the moose was this old lady who had fallen and couldn't get up in a ditch. And the moose was like there standing until someone came to help her. So the moose rescued this old lady and then disappeared so as not to receive any glory for the rescue. The moose has no interest in becoming famous or,
and yet became famous.
That's right. Now. Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Most of the mooses that become famous these days are because of their burden of ticks or because they've become a little crazy and they wander into a road and a highway in Maine and get slammed by a car and the car loses. But it's great to see that collection of animal antics. And David, while you're here, I don't know if you had a musical contribution. What's on your?
Everyone should play together. I want everyone.
Well, we did that thing.
Yeah, just pull them all out. Whatever you got, get that woodpecker flute back. And
well, we did. You did that amazing flute duet with Katie Coleman, the astronaut, flute playing astronaut.
That's right. That was great because I knew nothing about her. This flute in space, and there she was. It's like what an amazing thing.
So maybe you want to try a little flute duet with Rick? Let's just see if that works.
Yeah, pull it out and I'll see.
Do you have your overtone flute or something?
There's so many flutes here and wind instruments. So
that overtone flute was amazing, but you could pick
play the giant plastic one or the Siberian one.
Oh, Siberia! Go with Siberia.
This one, people are sitting at home,
Siberia meets North Dakota.
So you can sit at home and go online and see what Siberian overtone flutes can be ordered from eBay, like this one. And it's actually quite easy to get. And the mail from Siberia is much better than, say, the mail from New York City to the Hudson Valley. It takes less time for this thing, and even smells like this rope. It smells like it's been wrapped in the sauna out in the smoke, in the snows. The overtone flutes have no holes because they play the natural harmonic series, like wind in the trees.
So maybe you guys can try a bit of a call and response. I think we're proving that you can actually do stuff.
Yeah, you can make. I've done a lot of live concerts using our StreamYard technology here, and if you want the best results, everyone records themselves separately, and then you can mix it later. It's just like a regular.
Yeah, I know. It's.
But this is sounding very good live. You obviously have got all the right technology here.
No, we don't. But it seems to sometimes. It's interesting. Wind instruments seem to do better than.
You also have different settings. Do you turn off the
microphone
cancellation?
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it worked.
So let's hold on a second. By the way,
what did he say? What did I miss? Did Carl say something before when he was here?
Yeah, he was talking about the book. I mean, the piece in the Times, and it was great to have him here. Carl, he had to. I think he has a time constraint, so he had to cut out. It was great to have Carl Savino on the show, old friend, and he'll be back for sure. And someday we'll try to get him on his drum kit too, which would be really cool.
That's right.
Karen Brooks, I have not formally reintroduced you. Good morning to you out there in Heath, Massachusetts. I assume.
Hey there. Northern clime, of course.
Yeah, it's cold up there.
I was interested in that conversation you were having about animals and farm animals. And I was like, anyway, I wasn't on at that point. But
yeah, it's good to have you here.
Thank you.
And I was wondering maybe if Dan, you had a song in mind. I know you have a toddler or a baby there in the house, so it's always constrained for you to spend time with us. It's always great because your tunes are so wonderful to hear.
Oh, thank you. Well, so I'm my wife is on kiddo duty, and she's going to be putting him down for a nap. So I'm here to hang out for the rest of the morning and afternoon. We've been sledding this morning. I just got back from sledding. We had 3 inches of snow last night, and so we were sledding down the hill and making snowmen. It was perfect snowman or snow person snow. But I'm not going to play Frosty the Snowman or any other snowman themed music. I've been thinking all week, and I don't know if anyone else may have already touched on this today. I've been thinking all week about Tony Rice. Probably the greatest bluegrass guitar player who's ever lived, who passed either on Christmas or right around Christmas. And he's been, my favorite bluegrass guitar player forever. So I wanted to play a song that I learned from him. It's called, it's a Stanley Brothers song. It's called It's Raining Here This Morning. And I got to play some guitar licks, of course, in it too. And they will pale in comparison to whatever the master did, but I'll do my best. it's raining, raining, raining here this morning, as I sit in jail and hang my head in shame. Oh, I smile, I try to greet each early dawning, but they've given me a number for my name. Many little raindrops have fallen close to me, makes all the streams and rivers as muddy as can be. Oh, it's raining, raining, raining here this morning, as the Mississippi flows on to the sea. Well, I wish I could see my little darling and hold her in my arms as before. Well, I used to tell her every day I loved her, but now she doesn't love me anymore. Well, she knew that I was guiltless of this one crime, and she said that she'd be waiting there for me. But she has found somewhere else to wander, as the Mississippi flows on to the sea. Oh, it's raining, raining, raining here this morning, and I'm just as weary as I can be. Oh, I wish I could follow all the raindrops down the Mississippi toward the Silver Sea. There's no way to prove that I'm not guilty, so I'll have to suffer all the shame. Go and tell her for me, little raindrops, that they've given me a number for my name.
Yay!
That was
Holy
great.
mackerel. You did the master good. I never saw him. My brother has seen him a bunch of times. I never saw him live, and I always regret that. There's a few people like that I've never saw live. Believe it or not, I never saw John Prine live, and I'll always kick myself for that too. But
yeah, I was able to see him a few times. I think every time I saw him, he was playing with Peter Rowan, the great singer.
oh my God, Peter Rowan, I have seen in Nashville, and the best musician's touch ever.
Yeah.
Unbelievable master.
Just totally.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Wonderful music. And the thing that, as I was remembering, thinking about Tony Rice, I mean, he had an incredible voice, but he lost his voice in the 90s probably. He basically never sang publicly for 30 years, and he was always trying to get his voice back. He had this wonderful voice, but there was a speech he gave at some bluegrass award ceremony where he was being given a Lifetime Achievement Award, and he, his speaking voice at that time had deteriorated so much that it was just kind of a hoarse whisper, and but he had practiced so much because he cared enough about getting his voice back and accepting this award that he actually started the speech, his acceptance speech, with his hoarse voice, but then he sort of took a moment and centered himself, and he actually spoke in his old voice, his true voice, for about 15 or 20 seconds, and you could hear how much it took out of him, and you could also feel the love in the room of how much everybody appreciated this, because everyone had been just yearning to hear Tony Rice's voice again. And even just those 10 or 15 seconds of speech were really wonderful. So any Tony Rice fans out there, I'd encourage you to just look up that acceptance speech, and I think you'll be moved as I was.
So Karen, how are you doing up there on the farm? We were talking about your animals, or animals generally, earlier. You raise sheep, you sing songs. How's life as this new year begins?
Life goes on, right?
Right.
Yeah. Working still on that whole concept of singing at the same time, which I'm getting there with singing at the same time with other people using some of that software, which I think is looking pretty promising. So I'm
Okay.
hopeful about that. I wanted to say something. I know Carl's gone, but I used to do this thing of, I live in a really rural area, so I could drive home on the dirt road at night and see a deer, and I would roll down my window and sing, stop my car and sing to that deer. And as long as I kept singing, the deer would not leave. So it was just I was thinking of David and Carl about that, and kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So what do you have in the way of song that you
I
on
thought
your
I
mind?
would maybe do Pete's song, Snow, because here it's a white and gray, another white and gray day, and it will be
Right.
now probably until June, probably. No, hopefully. I don't know. It's looking like we're going to have a really warm winter, though. It's by like kind of looking ahead, and it's an interesting thing. So, yeah, I wish it's in A minor, which I wonder if David could play long held notes. It's kind of, I don't know. You could try it. See.
Or intervals, like interstitials.
Snow, snow falling down, covering up my dirty old town. Snow, snow falling down, covering up my dirty old town. Covers the garbage dump, covers the holes, covers the rich bones and the poor souls, covers the station, covers the tracks, covers the footsteps of those who'll not be back. Snow, snow falling down, covering up my dirty old town. Snow, snow falling down, covering up my dirty old town. Under the street lamp stands a girl. Looks like she doesn't have a friend in the world. Look at the big flakes turning around, twisting and turning, round and round. Snow, snow falling down, covering up my dirty old town. Snow, snow falling down, covering up my dirty old town. Covers the mailbox, the farm and the plow, even barbed wire looks beautiful now. Covers the station, covers the track, covers the footsteps of those who'll not be back. Snow, snow falling down, covering up my dirty old town. Snow, snow falling down, covering up my dirty
Beautiful.
Nice.
It kind of worked, didn't it? A little
Yeah.
bit, David. I thought so.
Yeah, it sounded, yeah.
Yeah,
it sounded
it's kinda
good mixed
cool.
with the
Yeah.
actual live clarinet.
Yeah, I know.
That's really cool.
Never heard that
Yeah.
song. Beautiful.
Oh,
I know. I was going to say the same thing. I know many Pete Seeger songs, and not that one.
Yeah.
Well, I could imagine him talking about it sitting on the train platform. Look at the snow. Right? On those tracks.
We had a rehearsal in the Beacon Sloop Club,
Uh-huh.
and a whole bunch of us were in there. We're singing it, and he's playing it.
Mhm.
And right in that middle of it, the train whistle came through. It was, and it
Amazing.
actually was in tune with the song, and it was so
Mhm.
haunting. It was
That's so
really,
cool.
I love that song. It's sort of a good depressing Russian song. Right? Anyway, yeah.
So, Rick, I saw you tuning up the banjo, and as I said earlier, you've written a book on banjo. You are a practitioner of this instrument for many decades, and it's great to have you here.
Well, it's always fun to listen to the conversation, and I guess that's one of the things that when you're with a bunch of creative minds, you never know where the song is going to go. Is sometimes you want it to go exactly with the flow of what you're doing, and sometimes you want to make sure you don't take away from the thing that just happened before you. So so I was thinking about. Playing just a little bit of banjo here, change the pace a little bit, of doing something that I haven't been doing all year long. I've been doing some hard traveling, I thought you know. I've been doing some hard traveling, way down that road. I've been doing some hard traveling, hard rambling, hard gambling. I've been doing some hard traveling, Lord. Well, I've been doing some hard harvesting, I thought you know. North Dakota to Kansas City, way down that road. I'm stuck in that road, on that hay, trying to make about $1 a day. I've been doing some hard traveling, Lord. I've been doing some hard traveling, I thought you know. I've been doing some hard traveling, way down that road. I've been doing some hard traveling, hard rambling, hard gambling. I've been doing some hard traveling, Lord. Well, I've been working at Pittsburgh Steel, I thought you know. I've been pouring that red hot slag, way down that road. I've been blasting, I've been fired, I've been ducking that red hot iron. I've been doing some hard traveling, Lord. Well, I've been doing some hard traveling, I thought you know. I've been doing some hard traveling, way down that road. I've been doing some hard traveling, hard rambling, hard gambling. I've been doing some hard traveling, Lord. Well, I've been laying out a Fallbrook hotel, I thought you know. I've been laying out 90 days, right down that road. Well, to me, old judge, he says to me, it's 90 days for vagrancy. I've been doing some hard traveling, Lord. I've been doing some hard traveling, I thought you know. I've been doing some hard traveling, way down that road. I've been doing some hard traveling, hard rambling, hard gambling. I've been doing some hard traveling, Lord. Well, I've been walking that Lincoln Highway, I thought you know. I've been hitching on 66, way down that road. I'm walking down the road with a word in mind. I'm looking for a woman that's hard to find. I've been doing some hard traveling, Lord. I've been doing some hard traveling, I thought you know. I've been doing some hard traveling, way down that road. I've been doing some hard traveling, hard rambling, hard gambling. I've been doing some hard traveling, Lord. Well, I've been doing some hard traveling, Lord. Woo!
I love it.
Oh, that was great. Got to
That was a
play
workout.
along. That was,
Well, I think that's one of the things that all of us miss is all the traveling that we're so used to doing. And that now we're all in our cubicles every day. We wake up, this day's like last day. That was, they call it what, Blur's Day.
Right, I saw that the other day.
Because
Blur's Day.
Yeah,
It's actually
and
that
it's
made
so
it into the
true.
Oxford Blur's Day and doom scrolling are now in the Oxford English Dictionary as of this year.
And I think that we have to be optimistic to think that we're going to get through this thing and we're going to get somewhat back to normal. Here in Vermont, we're doing pretty well, though, it really makes a difference when they had, over the holidays, a lot of people didn't follow the rules, and immediately all the cases jumped up.
Yeah. It's
We went
amazing how science is what it is. Biology is what it is. You can't.
We went from 50 deaths over to over 100 deaths just over, from Thanksgiving. An unbelievable spike. And I think that, I don't understand why people don't get the idea just to put on a mask could really save us a lot of lives, or just to follow some of the rules, because it's kind of really crazy. I mean, people are literally fighting with each other about wearing masks.
Yep. There's more than a few songs to write about that stuff down the line.
We don't like being told what to do. We don't like. We think that it's somehow impinging our right to be.
Yeah. I see. Looks like Cowboy Ernie and Patrick Jones are back with us. We were here earlier. Great to see you guys. And we can go another half hour if that's okay with everybody. I'd love to hear a little bit more from each of you. And David, I don't know if you have a solo little windy piece. Anything related to your Nightingale work? David has done a documentary.
It's all about. Let's see.
Just think about that for a minute,
Okay.
And let's see here. Dan Ramey, before you go, did you have another tune in mind? There's stuff that comes to mind for me all the time. It's like when I was hearing Rik Palieri, I was remembering Pink Anderson, who's why Pink Floyd is partially named for Pink Anderson, who is this musician from the Carolinas who became a bit of a brief folk celebrity. He did the song Traveling Man. Just want to tell you about a traveling man. His home was down in Tennessee. Made his living stealing chickens or anything that he could see. That top-eyed man, he ran so fast his feet would never stay in a row. When a freight train passed, no matter how fast, he'd always get on board. I said he was, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
There's so many traveling songs.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about kind of, going in that spirit. This is, y'all recognize this tune, and feel free to hoot and holler along or chip in as you see fit. Maybe add another verse. I'm going down that road feeling bad.
Geez.
Going down that road feeling bad. Going down that road feeling bad, Lord, now I don't want to be treated this way. I'm going where the water tastes like wine. Going where that water tastes like wine. I'm going where the water tastes like wine, Lord, now I don't want to be treated this way. Going where the climate suits my clothes. Going where that climate suits my clothes. Going where that climate suits my clothes, Lord, now I don't want to be treated this way. Going down that road feeling bad. Going down that road feeling bad. Going down that road feeling bad, Lord, now I don't want to be treated this way. Whoops. There we go.
Man, oh man.
Oh, thanks for doing that song.
It is so hard. It's so hard to hear that and not play along. Oh my God.
Well, just
I hope
play
you're playing along.
with it muted.
Yeah. Good.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I can't wait to get together traveling. Right now, there's actually the big economics conference, and I work with a lot of economists, environmental energy economists, and so this is the week that we would all be meeting up together in San Diego or Austin or Nashville to be enjoying each other's company and talking, nerding out. But it's all online, and so it's nice to have a little community here.
Yeah, we did a session in December to intersect with the American Geophysical Union's big giant meeting, and had a conclave of musical climate scientists and musicians who were interested in climate. And it was pretty great. So I should have thought ahead. We could have done one for that Enviro Econ Energy group too.
Maybe
but it's hard to figure out how to do that stuff. That aspect of conferences is still the corner of the room, or the taking the walk in the plaza, the part where the ideas actually emerge and the collaborations is not yet something that people have figured out how to do on this through a screen. I think it's one of the grand challenges, because it's not like we're not going to go back to 100%, anywhere near 100% of the travel we were doing before. Bill Gates estimates 50%. I'd say we'll see. We'll see where we go. It's tough.
That's really going to happen, that people will not want to go back as soon as they're allowed to go back? Will there be this level of restraint?
I don't think I'm going to travel nearly as much as I did. That's just me.
Yeah.
I mean, for musicians, it's different. I mean, performing, the tour bus, the town by town stuff is so. Dar Williams, who's been on here a few times, she wrote a book about the 1,000 towns she's been in, and the lessons she learned on the road. So that is a fundamental part of what Rik and so many of my musical friends do.
So did she say she's going to travel less when she can travel?
Well, that's a good question. The next time I have her on, we could ask her. I'll ask her.
I kind of feel like there'll be a generation of people who've said, okay, enough. But then there'll be a new generation that says, finally, we can get out, and they'll be ready to take up the slack.
If people vaccinate, and if we develop a better rapid response global system of pandemic surveillance and response, then we can get there again. We'll see how that all goes. That's actually on Wednesday on the show, getting back into the serious stuff. I'm convening journalists and scientists to attack the question of how do journalists cover vaccine issues without pulling the plug on vaccine trust. We always hyper focus on the failures, and we don't put them in context. When was the last time you saw a headline that said side effect predicted normal? The headline said side effects, nurse in San Diego had an allergic reaction. Yeah. And they spotted it because the protocol is that you wait to see if the person has an allergic reaction. So it's like, there's some real tough lessons to explore there, but that's not what these Sunday sessions are about. So we'll try to get a little bit more music into the mix before we close out. And David, I don't know if there's something you might want to offer, or if not, again, no worries.
I like it when everyone's playing together. I think it's.
Yeah, I know.
I think turn everything on, and it doesn't matter if it's instant or out of sync.
I kind of agree with you on that. Not worrying so much about the feedback.
Great. Yeah, right.
Yeah, Rik, I don't know if you want to break out that magical flute one more time.
Sure.
What else you got there? You have some other weird flutes?
Oh, yeah. Do I have weird stuff? Yeah, I've got all kinds of weird stuff.
I have this. This is the weirdest one.
Yeah, no, this isn't the weirdest one. I've got other things here that they're not right handy right now, but I do have a different flute too. That's a lower flute.
Oh, great!
I like this. I like what I'm seeing here.
Yeah, so this has a different kind of tonality in it. Let's see. Make sure that everything's hooked up.
Karen, can you try an acapella "Amazing Grace," like Pete Seeger's slow version of "Amazing Grace"?
Could try it.
And maybe they can kind of
at the same time
do a little They can do oh my gosh.
Seems like we got that note in common anyway.
I know. So see, we're find a common note, and then
either in G or C.
I'm not sure where this is at. I think I'm in C.
C minor.
God, these notes are amazing.
C minor.
Okay, I can get to that note. That's, I think, as close as we're going to get.
La 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 la.
Karen, you know that thing about one grain of sand? One grain of sand.
Yeah, if we
One
and that's
grain
just
of
in one key. It's in one chord, so that would be good, right? Minor.
Yeah, see if you can play that.
See what key he's in. That's just not. It's not C.
It sounded like something.
It sounds like I'm going back to see my mother. No more to roam.
Like
or
a
something.
meditation hour there.
Yeah, there was a little bit of pastures aplenty in there.
It
and-
was. I heard it.
I guess I'll play it back later. It's all
It's gonna
recorded
be
for
interesting,
posterity.
yeah.
So, we'll see what that actually sounded like to the outside world. Play it back. Right. I buried Paul. Do you remember that whole thing?
Ernie's back. Ernie's
Yeah,
there.
Ernie, can we hear an actual a tune from you guys, Patrick and Ernie, Patrick Jones and Ernie Seitz, man.
Yeah.
Cowboy Hall of Fame,
Well,
everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hey, this has been delightful, by the way. I hope we can get through the song. Yeah, we've talked about a lot of different tunes, but I'm gonna do kind of up tempo, kind of a happy thing here. Keep on this there. I'm happy when I yodel, yodel-o-dee. I've just got a yodel, yodel-o-dee. Happy when I sing, yodeling brightens everything. Idle-a-dee-o-dee. Now if you're feeling down, yodel-o-dee, and you've roped yourself a frown, idle-a-dee, just yodel once or twice. By the time you yodel thrice, you'll be happy yodeling all the day. I-dee-yodel-a-dee, yodel-a-dee, yodel-a-dee. I-dee-yodel-a-dee, if you're feeling down, yodel-o-dee, and you've roped yourself a frown, no. Just yodel once or twice. By the time you yodel thrice, you'll be happy yodeling all the day. I-dee-yodel-a-dee, get ready. You know, it's a simple little song. Idle-a-dee. Come on, everybody, try to yodel along. That's it. Yeah, there you go. A good yodel every day can keep a doctor far away. My good horse tells me that's the way. All together, here we go. I-dee-yodel-a-dee, idle-a-dee, yodel-a-dee, I-dee-yodel-a-dee, ooh-dee-oh. Rick, I don't think you're yodeling here. Now in yodeling I have found yodel-a-dee. Folks will come from miles around, far away. My good horses tells me, get ready, here we go. Now, quick
You.
Oh, that was great.
There it is, right here.
Oh my God.
Hey.
Once you learn how to
So
yodel,
good.
once you learn how to yodel, it's you can't get it. Kind of like passing gas. Every once in a while, you got to just let one go. That's what that is. Okay.
Wow.
I gotta.
That
Sharon,
feels
you
like
did
such
good.
a great
I heard you.
exercise.
You were having, yeah. Well, it's sure
Unbelievable.
good. Thank you so much.
Hey, Ernie Seitz, you know, we tried and we finally
you.
got you here in the full 100%
Yay.
Ernie.
I'm so glad.
Patrick Jones. Yeah,
And
we can
Rik
actually shake hands
Palieri.
in here. It's unbelievable. There's Ricky.
Unbelievable.
How you doing, brother?
Rik Palieri up in Vermont. Great to have you back. Anytime you want to come back on here, just knock on the door. As Tom Chapin sang here not long ago, come in, the door is open. I love that tune he did on his auto harp a month or two ago. And David Rothenberg, it's great to have you here
Thanks for inviting me.
improvise and intersect and interrelate. Someday we'll get you on with a Nightingale live, and let's work on that to do one of those Nightingale cross species creativity tunes.
I would love
Karen Brooks, great to have you as always
Nice to
from
see you.
Rural
Nice to
Math.
see you guys.
And Dan Ramey and Ann Arbor and an energy economics conference. And hopefully we diverted you from Wonkville, which is a really important stuff. But this is
Thanks, Andy.
For those who've been listening, this is the Sustain What Sunday Sanity version. Sustain What is an enterprise that's been going since March 15th as part of my work at the Earth Institute of Columbia University, trying to build ways to more effectively communicate on this new communication environment, which so often is raucous and dividing us when it could connect us, and distracting us when we could actually get stuff done. So there's lots of work to be done. Music and the arts play a role in that. That's what the Sunday shows are about. If you're watching and you want to learn more or offer ideas for new shows, look at that little distracting scroll bar at the bottom and you'll see ways to get in touch with me. And all of you stay well, connect from a distance, and where you're safe, connect right face to face. I know there in Beacon that Patrick gets tested every week, and we're all very careful to be in bubbles and keep healthy and not spread this virus. The sooner we get that virus back in its bubble and separate from ours, the better off we'll all be. So vaccinate and stay safe in the meantime. I'm Andy Revkin and signing off now. And we'll be back next Sunday and next Wednesday and on and on. This was a great,
until we meet again. Happy trails to you. You smile and understand. Who cares about the clouds when we're together? Sing a song, bring the sunny weather. Happy trails to you until we meet again.
So hold that thought, because I do see suddenly a lot of people have just tuned in. So maybe we could keep it going a tiny bit longer. Karen, do you have one more song to throw in?
No,
Karen did.
Tell David Rothenberg that his book is sitting in the bio department at Hunter College.
Oh, that's
good. That's good.
Yeah.
Karen, you did From a Distance, which I thought was such a splendid. That was one of our first shows, and I don't know.
Oh, do you think
I don't want to like
remember?
force it on you, but if
Well,
you
I
could,
just hopefully see if I can remember it. Okay, let's see.
Julie Gold wrote this song in a very different context in the '90s, and it's just come back and forth through Karen Brooks.
I think I can remember it. Okay, I'll give it a try. I'm not muted. That's right. From a distance, the world looks blue and green, and the snow-capped mountains white. From a distance, the ocean meets the stream, and the eagle takes to flight. From a distance, we're all instruments, marching in a common band, playing songs of hope, playing songs of peace. They're the songs of every land. From a distance, we all have enough, even though no one is in need. There are no guns, no bombs, no diseases, no hungry mouths to feed. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. It's the voice of hope, it's the voice of peace. It's the voice of every land. God is watching us. God is watching us. God is watching us from a distance. From a distance, you look like my friend, even though we are at war. From a distance, I can't comprehend what all this war is for. From a distance, we are instruments in a common band, playing songs of hope, playing songs of peace. They're the songs of every land. It's the hope of hopes, it's the love of loves, it's the voice of every land. Almost remembered it all. And then the phone rang, but thank you.
It
Don't
was
you love it
beautiful,
when the
Karen.
phone rings? Thank you.
was
Oh,
beautiful.
thank you. And
That's a really, I think that's where we'll
and
call it a day.
boy, is it where we all want to be, you know? We
Yeah.
really, really want to be there. This whole
Yep.
world is just dying for that, I think.
I agree.
Well,
Ernie
thank you,
Seitz,
Andy. Yeah.
Karen Brooks, Patrick Jones, Rik Palieri. Thanks for making this a very special kickoff session of our Sunday Sanity show.
That's right. The better year.
Thank you.
The
Thank
better
you.
year.
Better year
Yes.
ahead. Big
All right.
hug to you all.
Nice to see you
Yeah.
all. Mwah.
Come back soon and be
Nice
well.
to see you
Good
all.
to see Rick.
Yeah.
Good to see
Yeah.
you. Ernie.
All right.
All right,
Be
Karen.
well.
Happy
I can't wait
everybody.
to,
Thanks for everything.
by the way, I
I'm
can't wait to
calling you.
re-listen to this. I want to hear all those fluty things and
Me
just
too.
see
Me
what we
too.
got.
Yeah. And we have a date to work on that software. Okay.
Okay. Well,
Yeah. All right.
we
I mean, your
kind
busy
of worked.
life.
This was pretty great here too. So